Okay, welcome to Gaines's Mill on Brigadier General difficulty. I get almost 11 to 1, just short, 1,800 casualties on my side. The enemy has 30,000, I have about 20,000. That's actually really good on Major General, on Brigadier General. On Major General, I expect to be outnumbered 2 to 1. On Brigadier General, you expect to be closer to 1 to 1, but quite frankly, if anything better than 2 to 1 is an easy victory for an experienced player, even on Major General. And this is Brigadier General. So this is easier than it appears. So what I want to do is I want to take positions. I want to really talk about tactics in this battle and what I'm trying to do and why. So I'm having everybody move to this ridge line. And there's a ridge line and there's water. And you get a huge buff to damage if you fire downhill. So this is just absolutely one of the most perfect defensive positions that you could possibly have, even though you don't have great cover, you're still on high ground. So the enemy is going to be firing uphill, and anytime the enemy is firing uphill, they do way less damage. So they're debuffed. You do more damage because you're firing downhill. And super bonus, there's a nice wide bit of water, and the enemy will get zero cover in that water. So you'll do greater damage, and this is why I wanted my troops to have rifles that had good range, because I'll be able to sit on top of that hill and at range do massive damage. If I had 1842s, the damage you inflict beyond the effective range really falls off. So what you want to be able to do is get weapons where you can stand off at range and do really good damage. So the range that you're firing is within the effective range of the weapon. And a lot of these guys have Harper's Ferries and 1855s, and they can really do damage at range. So yeah, this is terrific. And here comes a general, and I'm going to wait. Notice how I wait for him to cross the water. It takes a long time to cross, and then it takes a long time to cross to the other side. So I let him get across the water, because even if I don't kill him outright, he'll have to fall back into the water, and it's going to take him forever, and he'll never make it. I mean, I fire at him, he's dead. But even if he'd fallen back, there's no way I would have gotten easily another shot off on him before he made it back across. And this is the way to do this. I have these guys on high ground. They'll get a buff for firing downhill. They have good ranged weapons, so they will do very good damage at range. And what you want to do is you want to look at the range efficiency of your weapons. And here, I'm going to let these guys get into the water before I run forward and have these guys set on run. So there I am on higher ground, firing downhill into these guys. And I like the guy to the north of the screen, I let him get almost out of the water before I start to hit him. So yeah, these guys, this is why they collapse, even though they're 2-star units. I mean, they just collapse. They're getting, and I also outnumber them. So I have like 2 or 3 units firing into one, and that's what you want to do. Like 3 units firing into 1 unit. You're on high ground, he's on low ground, he has 0 cover. You know, this is how you crush the enemy. So now I have this line of infantry on this ridge line, and man, I'm ready. And I'm going to put detached skirmishers to the side. And that's so the enemy can't get around my position, and my detached skirmishers can stand there for a very long time. If I take losses, what I'll do is I'll refold the detached skirmishers back into my army, and then detach new detached skirmishers. Okay, what I recommend do, and this is a perfect reason why. Any smoothbore cannon should get, I think, the cover perk, because anything smoothbore needs to deal damage in canister, which means they have to be close to the front line. And there's an argument about this, but I think smoothbore guns should be right on the front line. If they're going to take pass-through damage, that's okay. Your canister weapons should lose men and guns. Not a whole bunch, but they should take losses. Because if they're on the front line doing damage, a 24-pound howitzer, for example, can kill 4,000 in a battle. It's okay, I lose a gun and 25 guys. You know, that's a great day. I mean, yeah, I'll take that every battle throughout the campaign happily. So now the guns that are anti-artillery, So those are your 20-pound Parrotts, Whitworths. Those guys need to sit back a bit. The other thing that's different is, I don't think yeah, I did know it at this battle. If you're firing long range guns, like your counter battery fire, your 20-pound Parrotts, for example, you want those guys to be in the open. They actually do more damage to the enemy when they're in the open. And since they're going to be standing back, that's okay. The enemy will target whatever it sees in front of the artillery. It's not smart enough to target your artillery unless your artillery is the closest thing to shoot at. So your anti-artillery guns, like your 20-pound Parrotts, Whitworths, should be in the open and should never be in the woods. I think the 24-pound howitzers and other weapons that are smoothbore, they're going to be right on the front line, should be in the woods, even though they're debuffed a little bit for being in the woods because of the additional cover. It reduces their casualties, and they're so devastating in combat, I don't think it matters. Then but I think that is perfectly reasonable. The other thing you can do is you can move up your, say, 24-pound howitzers so they're not standing right in front of an enemy unit, but catty corner off to the side, firing at an oblique angle. And so when the enemy infantry fires into the infantry, the pass-through damage doesn't hit your artillery. But I usually don't, think of that during the heat of the battle. But that is something you can do. So, yeah. Notice how this infantry is right in the water and he just gets hammered. So I'm trying to squeeze out as many shots as I possibly can. And generally you want to hit fall back, and not what I'm doing right now, but I really, fall back, you don't have any control on how they fall back. Like they'll fall back at an angle you don't particularly want. That's okay. But in this case, I knew the entire enemy line had collapsed, so I could just have my guys run backwards. But there's a huge difference between fall back and what I just did. I took the risk that I wouldn't take shots to the rear as I did that. So when you hit fall back, which I'm doing right now, you hit the F key, they fall back on their own. And if you have them on run, they move really fast. So that's the way you generally want to do it. So if you give them a move order, they will turn their back to the enemy, and if the enemy happens to shoot at them, it'll be flanking fire or rear fire, and that is terrible. You don't want to ever take fire from the rear. So yeah, I think I had the one unit actually move, and the other unit I just hit fall back right there. So when there's an area that's difficult to see, you want to hit detached skirmishers, because detached skirmishers give you greater visibility. And I have a detached skirmisher, like on my line to the left, you can see the detached skirmisher. And I had more detached skirmishers to the right, too. The other thing I'm doing is my 24-pound howitzer. I'm having those guys only fire when there's something within exploding shell range, because long-range fire is really useless for these guys. So I'm just conserving ammo, because the 24-pound howitzer just hemorrhages ammo. The cost is way more than all the other artillery, and that's cash. So yeah, I'm hitting ceasefire and fire a lot with those guys, as you should, as the enemies get too far away. So here I'm repositioning my unit to get closer fire. I think as a general rule for the 24-pound howitzer, you want the guns to be back behind the infantry a little bit more until the enemy infantry loses their aggressiveness, and then you can push them up to the front line. But in this battle, the enemy has waves of attackers, so he's going to get several groups of reinforcements. Each group that comes in is going to initially be very aggressive. So you can fight this against the first group that comes in, and then the second group that comes in, and the third group. I don't know how many groups there are, but it seems to be a bunch of them. And so you can basically park here, and people are going to charge you the whole battle. So rebels continue the attack. They get reinforcements. This is great. That's why I had units on the right just waiting patiently. Those are, I don't know if those are my best units. Those are usually my best units on the right. Yeah. Now the other thing you can do is let infantry units, instead of catching them in the water, which is pretty straightforward and easy, let them come out of the water on your side, hit them with a volley, they go back into the water, you can maybe get a second shot, maybe a third shot. It's absolutely devastating. Fresh units that have very high morale and very high condition, I don't think I would risk that. I think I would want to catch them in the water to degrade them so that when they come back in the second time, maybe I let them cross over. And there we had an enemy unit that just shattered. So I think that would be his first or second wave of troops is now fragile. But he has more troops coming in all the time. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of them. So now is not the time to be really aggressive. So yeah, I'm repositioning my artillery. For the north, as I've said before, your secret weapon is artillery. Pandakraut has said that the south gets really good artillery, just not as early. I always get tired. I have never finished the Confederate campaign because I want artillery, and I'm too impatient. I want it right from the beginning. So with Pandakraut's comment, maybe I'll play the Southern campaign. But I want artillery, and I want good artillery, and the North gets it right from the very beginning. And it's just decisive. And another unit shattered of the enemy. You can see them going off there. And yeah, and this plays exactly the same way on Brigadier General. The enemy's position is hopeless. Attacking, this is one of the greatest kill zones in the entire game. Now you'll notice there are forts to the rear. Those are the worst forts in the game. So if your army occupies those forts and gets attacked by exactly the same force, you are going to get your head kicked in. Even on Brigadier General, it is a nightmare because fortifications are terrible. They're death traps in the beginning. And those fortifications are some of the worst in the entire campaign. They're absolutely complete death traps. Your army's going to get, your units are going to rout, and you're not going to be able to hold the line. And it's exciting, but you're going to get your butt kicked. You're certainly not going to get 10 to 1. You'll be lucky to get 1 to 1. And on Major General, it's a slaughter. I mean, it's just, in the wrong way. So, yeah, in this position, this is a slaughter the right way. So, okay, now I'm like too far forward, and I'm exchanging shots across that little river. I need to get out of there. I don't want to exchange shots with enemy units in cover. That is a 1-to-1 exchange, and that is terrible. So I need to get out of there. I only want to shoot and fight when I have an advantage. And you also notice that there's some water right there that my unit was on. You don't want your units to ever be in water. So if my units, you hit the F button, they may fall back and be standing on water like that. You need to get them out of there as quickly as possible. So don't stand on water like my unit is doing right now on the screen. Okay, so I know he's going to have troops coming in on my right, a whole bunch of troops. He stopped trying to cross right there. I usually leave a detached skirmisher on the right side so I can see if he tries anything. And I don't have to worry about it very much. Because usually he doesn't. But I need to get troops back to defend the victory location. Because he is going to come in with a whole bunch of guys. Yeah, the blue line is really big right now because of all the casualties he's taken. So I'm sending some units out forward because I want to see him approach. There's a big open area, and I have snipers and, well, they're skirmishers, but they're really snipers. And they're going to tear apart anything in that open area. That's a great place because his troops are going to come down straight from the north and then are going to turn their flank to me and attack my objective, which you can see on the right side. And then those snipers are going to get flanking shots. But that's big open area. They'll be able to see the full distance of the range of their weapons. They'll have complete visibility of the enemy approach. And they'll just be able to sit there and just take shots at the enemy the whole time. So, yeah. And I'm really, really happy because I built a Cav division. I love building a cav division and just moving the whole cav division as one big unit. You just click on the division and then all the units move, kind of thing. You don't have to move them one at a time. And a cav division is just like a big mailed fist. And this is a perfect place for that cav division to run around and do really good work. So yeah, I usually bring an artillery unit back here with the infantry and detached skirmishers, but I'm not too worried about it. So from the south, my reinforcements came in. They're not very good, but they'll be good enough. We'll have some infantry, some artillery, some snipers, which will get good flanking shots, and there'll be lots of opportunity to just pick the enemy apart on the right side. Meanwhile, over here, I mean, this is just a meat grinder. So I'm looking at I lost 6 men so far, if I'm seeing that right. I mean, it's a little blurry on my screen. 67 men. I mean, I'm taking no casualties over here because I have the high ground. 2 men. I've lost 2 men. So, yeah. Now, he does have 3 artillery batteries that I can't see. And I wish I could see them, but I can't. Yeah, it's just unfortunately I can't see them. So yeah, moving my commander around to buff morale wherever he's needed. Keep the morale up. I'm moving my supply wagon. Keep the units topped off with ammo, because I might have to leave. Might have to send my supply wagon to the, someplace else. Want my infantry. Well, the infantry's fine. I mean, I have 4 points in logistics. They're fine. The artillery, particularly the 24-pound howitzers, that's what I'm concerned about, which is why I'm having them conserve ammo. And there they fired. The enemy flashed white right away. The infantry screams in, takes volleys, and shattered. And that's perfect. It's exactly what you want. So, yeah, this is just mechanical at this point. So 1 unit comes forward. I'm just going to hopefully let him just come right into the water. Okay, DH Hill is coming in. My cav is up there to keep an eye on things, and that's all. Just let me know he's where the units are going, so I can move my troops around to counterattack him. My strategy basically is, no matter where this guy advances, the way I like to play is I like to have my units spread out initially, so that wherever the enemy goes, I have units on his flank without having to move to the flank. So you can move units around in a flanking movement, or you can just place units on a flank, like to the right. If the enemy moves forward, I'm now going to be on his flank, and I don't have to hardly move. So he's going to move his infantry as he's doing there forward. All I have to do is move the snipers, which I placed to the left, forward, and they're on the enemy's flank. So I always want to advance where the enemy isn't and retreat where the enemy is strong. And here he's going to give me shots on his artillery. So that's sweet. I normally hold my infantry back in the woods at the objective and let him come all the way down. But for some reason I decided to advance out of there. I don't know if that's a good decision or not. But see what I'm doing? I'm kind of moving that detached skirmisher to the left and letting the enemy walk in and expose his flank. And on Brigadier General, he'll take a couple shots and he'll fall back. Now he's in the water. He's just a sitting duck. I'm going to run forward and deliver shots. That unit's going to rout. This guy is actually touching water. He's not going to last very long. This guy crossed over. He's going to take volleys from 3 units. Then he's going to go into the water, and he's going to take volleys from 3 units again. He'll be lucky to survive. Yep, 3 units firing on that one. My units are not in water. He turns, and my detached skirmisher is going to hit him in the rear. Meanwhile, my other sniper's already made his artillery morale shock. That's how you crush the enemy. So infantry and another sniper is made that guy that was in the water route. The other two should be a little tougher, but look at this. We have an infantry, an artillery, and an infantry all routed, and the battle just kicked off. Part of that is because we're on Brigadier General. And Major General, they stand and fight. That's okay. But yeah, they were in, if they'd stood and fought, they just would have stood and taken even more losses. And keep in mind, when his units start degrading and their morale and condition falls to a certain point, even when they fire, they do debuffed damage. So yeah, this is great. He's going to charge into the water. I hit F on one of my units, so he falls back. He stops. He's partially in the water, and I have 3 units firing into this guy. With an artillery and support, that's 4 units. We can do this all day. His attack on this flank has just been absolutely crushed. I don't even see any enemy units. I know there's still more over there, but I don't see him. I don't want my cav unit to get caught, so he's got a fresh unit that's wearing roller skates, so I need to get out of there. I'm going to keep attacking here because I've got a shot on his artillery. Longstreet's division, so is coming in. Yeah, his infantry unit is charging through the woods. He's going to have 0 condition real soon. So that's all to the good. Yep, and I'm now on the flank of this guy to the south, and I'll continue to take shots on his other infantry. Yeah. So yeah, that infantry unit routed, that's good. And my cav unit might as well go around and take some shots on his artillery since he's been chased into the rear of the enemy army. Okay, I'll do that. We have someone in the water, that's great. Yeah, usually he tries to sneak someone around the left side of your entire army to take the victory location on the left side. Yeah, that's great. That's fine. I don't think he tries it in this battle because I have detached skirmishers over there, but he almost always sends a detached skirmisher, tries to sneak it around. He always tries to sneak something around the army. That's just what the AI does. I'm sending the supply wagon and my commander over to the right side of my line now because that's where they're needed. The left side is fine. Yeah. This is just clubbing baby seals at this point on the left side. Yeah, I'm continuing the attack over here instead of falling back because I can take I can maybe take his artillery out. That would be good. I would like to lure this guy across the water, and I don't think that's the way to do it. I should just fall back with these guys. So, yeah. Fall back, fall back, fall back. Get on top of the hill. I like that I have visibility of that one artillery unit, so I can start shooting him with long-range guns. Even anything. Short-range guns, long-range guns, anything. Try to degrade him. Okay. Wow, the attack's going well on this side, so I might as well move everybody forward. A lot of guys flashing white, so yeah, if I can take the next tree line, that would be great. Let my units rest. Oh, but I see him. He's occupying the tree line, so that's... I don't know if I saw it at the time, because the guy just flashed in and out very quickly. Yeah, I remember setting my detached skirmisher after that supply wagon. He went after him to the other side of the water. How did that happen? I clearly was. I was either paying attention and thought, yeah, well, I'll go for it. What the heck? So yeah, my cav unit got around behind the enemy, and I see a supply wagon, so I'm just gonna go snag that. And then he can come down and take some nice shots on the artillery, so that'll work out. Yeah, I expected this to not go this well. I'm tearing his artillery up and tearing his infantry up, and here are the reinforcements. I didn't think that this would happen until I brought all these reinforcements in. So yeah, the time is now 1800. I forget what time the battle ends, but I'm looking at 153 left. I'm thinking this is over probably in 153. That's going to take me to 2000, and that's probably the end of the battle. So I have whatever time I have for all these units to get experience, and the problem is the artillery moves slowly. So yeah, I don't know how much. I'd like for these guys to get more experience. I'd like for everybody to get another star that possibly could, and so on. So my commander still needs to go to the right. Now that I've captured a supply wagon, probably my ammo wagon that I was sending to the right probably can go to the left, probably. Oh, killed the commander. That's a big blow to the enemy army. Yeah, this is a little intense here. I need to break these units before they do any real damage to my units, because this is not an overwhelming majority, overwhelming force on the right side. So that has me a little concerned. I remember that when I was in the battle that I was a little concerned. This is too even. Now the battle on the left is completely one-sided. So he has weak units in the river, and they're just going to get their heads kicked in. So yeah, no worries there. And another supply wagon on the left side. So I now have a supply wagon on the right and left, and the supply wagon I started with. We're in great shape for supply. So yeah, he gets into melee, but I have all kinds of units providing support, and he retreats in the right direction, which is good. I pop a skirmisher to get out of melee as quickly as possible. I'm not interested in being in melee, because that's a one-to-one exchange usually. Unless you have two of your units in the melee, and then you get a huge buff, and you do way more damage to the enemy. But that was just one-on-one. There's no profit in it. So, nope, I'm not looking for one-to-one exchange. I want 10-to-1 or more. So, okay, this guy who is falling back, I should be able to just pick him to death. He should stay in morale shock forever. Actually, a couple of detached skirmishers would be able to kill him, given enough time. Particularly an isolated unit is really vulnerable and can't survive, and that is an isolated infantry unit. So I think about throwing my cav unit over there, but the cav unit can do much better work against these two artillery units. So once we take out the two artillery units, then an infantry, a detached skirmisher, and a cav can take out that lone isolated infantry unit pretty easily. Yeah, this guy's in the water. We'll kill him. Maybe get a shot on the general. Yeah, if I take out the general at this point, yeah, he's toast. Yep, I took my eyes off this battle for just a moment and walked right into an infantry unit. Not good. My unit's exhausted, so I might as well just get out of there and let him rest. So that unit's going to be done for 20 minutes in-game. So I'm going to let him rest. And this artillery, I just want them to get some kills, get them up and get them to get some kills. And I suspect the enemy's going to route to the north, and my artillery's not going to get any kind of good experience. That's too bad. Yeah, that unit that has fallen back a lot, he's fallen back too far. I need to hit fallback. I hit fallback for him, and he fell back too far. Okay, my cav, 3 units of cav came in. I'm going to have them go chase down that infantry unit. They should be able to kill him easily and get some XP. God, my artillery is never going to make it over to the other side of the map. So, and there's very little to kill over on the right side. I have 2 detached skirmishers who've crossed the water, and they just went over there to be annoying. And they are annoying. So, yeah. Give visibility. My long-range weapon can target his artillery. Maybe do some good work. This is the closest I've ever come to wiping out the entire enemy force. I guess you could wipe out the entire enemy force if you were willing to take, or I could have in this battle if I was willing to take 1-to-1 losses when I crossed the river, but I wasn't. I wanted to get maximum kill ratio, even if I didn't get them all. Because my goal is to make it through successfully Gaines's Mill and Malvern Hill. And by that point, my army will be largely built, and then the rest of the campaign is easy. So, yeah, and it worked. I got over 10-to-1 here because it's great terrain. I mean, this is just a perfect defensive battle. And then Malvern Hill, almost 10-to-1, just short. And yeah, that's, that's just great. So those are the 2 toughest battles in the campaign, I think. And with those over, the rest of it is just, easy. Now on Major General, the enemy puts up a really good fight even after Malvern Hill, but there is a definite drop in difficulty after Malvern Hill, just because you have, well, if nothing else, the artillery units you have start to, after they get their 2nd star, their killing power starts to be felt. So yeah, one thing I do is, if I have a unit that's exhausted, I don't want to fight with him. Units that are exhausted do not fight well. So you'll see me not move units or not attack with units. Like there's a unit, that unit that I'm highlighting right there, he was exhausted for a while. And then I checked with him, and as long as his condition is over 20%, he can fight. But as a general rule, if units have under 20% morale or condition, they can't fight. They just can't. So you're better off resting them. And so I spend a lot of time resting my units, and that's one of the reasons my units perform so well. If you just attack all the time with your units, then things are going to go badly. Because your units are going to get tired, and they're not going to be able to do damage to the enemy, but they can sure take damage. So yeah, these enemy units are dead. It's just a matter of racking up the XP. My artillery's not in a really good place to get a whole bunch of kills, so they're not going to get very much. My cav, I want them to get some XP desperately, so that's why we're trying to kill this guy. Yeah, just getting kills, in my mind, is way more important than the kill ratio. So you get a certain number of kills, you get XP, and then you get a perk, and that perk is everything. So You know, I'd happily take 1-to-1, an exchange of 1-to-1 losses in this melee battle. I'm sure I'm getting better than 1-to-1, but I'd happily take 1-to-1 if all of my units got a perk, because then they're going to be really valuable in the next battle. So yeah, I can spend some cash and build the unit up and keep the XP, and I have tons of cash. So, you know, it's all good. So my units have good cover. I can see the enemy. There's an opportunity over there. Normally I would retreat to the hilltop, but this is Brigadier General, so, you know, I've got some cav that might be able to come over here and reinforce this attack, and we might be able to roll him up, but I've only got 40 minutes to do this. So I'm rolling up my artillery, and then I'm going to see if I can make a river crossing. If I roll up my artillery and his units, which is what happens, my 24-pound howitzers hit him, he's going to fall back, and I might be able to go after him and, you know, get some more kills, but the timer is ticking down. So yeah, the 20-pound Parrot should be chipping away at his artillery. My cav should be over there in just a couple minutes, but during the battle I was calculating, okay, by the time the cav gets there, it's going to be, you know, 10 minutes to go to the end of the battle, and, you know, time is just going to run out. I don't have time to wipe him out. It would just take way longer than what I have. My infantry over in the center, north, is tired. There's no reason to move him. I probably should have moved him, because the more they walk, the more they build up condition. So just moving them would actually build condition. But they're never going to be able to get into any battle in the next 28 minutes. Since they're starting exhausted, they'd have to... Yeah, that guy he got hit from all sides. There were no friendly units around, he just collapsed. The artillery and infantry cannot get to the other side in 25 minutes and fight, so... Although again, I'm thinking, hey, I should have had a march anyway. They would have built up their stamina, so that wouldn't have been bad. But what I'm thinking about right now is, with the 23 minutes I have left, maybe getting some more kills. So yeah, the 24-pound howitzers and my infantry blasted his units off the front line. I might be able to cross and break this guy. He's sort of counterattacking. Yeah, and I decided to do just that. I'm going to have everybody move over. If nothing else, they'll build some condition. So that's great. I gave him just a tiny moment to rest, and here we go. Yeah, I might be able to take out that artillery unit, maybe. Get some more XP. Roll up the artillery, roll up the artillery. Provide supporting fire. Yeah. In the woods, dismounted cav is way better than mounted. So even with the primitive weapons that I gave my cav, look at that, morale shocked. And his commander's right there, and he's still morale shocked. The artillery unit, so... His infantry that tries to stand anywhere near close to my 24-pound howitzers just, you know, routes. Morale shocked, routes. Again, this is Brigadier General. Don't expect that to happen on Major General. The enemy's going to stand and fight. He's not going to take a couple shots and just run. But on any difficulty, nobody can take 24-pound howitzer to the face. It just doesn't happen. I've only got 4 minutes, and that guy was just in the water for a second. Yeah, I wanted to at least get some volleys, even though the timer's running down. He doesn't have much left. and he's retreating back into that water. Man, if I just had, I don't know, 20 more minutes in game. Yeah, I'm looking 1-0. This is over. I've done all the damage I can do to this guy. Trying to squeeze out one more volley and done. So there we go. Just short of 11-1. It was a fun battle. Make good use of terrain, take the high ground, make good use of artillery. 24-pound howitzers are the monster of the battlefield. Yeah, just look at that. The infantry got massive kills, 1,900 kills, lost 93 guys. Yeah, 24-pound howitzer got almost 2,000, lost 13 guys. Another 24-pound howitzer, what is that, 1,700, lost 7. I mean, yeah, we can do that all day. The 20-pound Parrott did not get as many kills because he was firing at artillery, but he took out batteries. Yeah, these guys all had a tremendous day. Yeah, I'm happy with all this. I only had no surprise the Whitworth and the Six-Wared were so far removed from the battle, they got only a few kills. Every little bit helps, but they were a little off. Hunters, if hunters do anything over 100 kills, it's a good day for hunters. All I want them to do is get that first unit perk so I can give them sharps, JF Browns, yeah. Get a promotion for the officer. You know, everybody's doing well. 1842s are a terrible thing to give your infantry. Notice how the guys with Lorenzes did really well. Although the Harper's Ferries and 1855s did better, no surprise. But 1842s are terrible. They just get your men killed. Lots of promotions. Yep, that's all good. So yeah, that is Gaines's Mill, 11-1 almost, and the army looks great. See you in camp right after this. Thanks.